here at BCMC 2025. We're just recording some quick conversations with experts and industry professionals. So I'm here with Wheeler Manus, and it's a pleasure to talk with you for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I mean, we've had such a great show, and there's so many great ideas, and we've had some real quality conversations. So I mean, it's been a big win for us.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I know it's in Omaha this year, which is a little far from home.
That's true.
Can you tell us where you're at?
We're actually out of Rome, Georgia, like up in the top left corner, a little close to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. He's kind of close to us, about an hour away.
Yeah.
And we hadn't met before, and we were boarding the plane and started talking shop even before we got here.
Yeah.
So
Well, I saw the Paragon shirt, and I was remarking I should have brought my Paragon hat.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So this year at the show, there's a lot of conversations happening, a lot of things that kind of in the works with robots, AI, all sorts of things. So what were some things that you found interesting about being here?
Oh man, there's a lot of cool stuff. I think having been to the BCMC as much as I have, it's been amazing to watch the evolution of ideas as they kind of percolate through the marketplace. I mean, the idea we could have had a web-based, design software would have been just totally mind-blowing, way back when. But, I think we're seeing more manufacturers of hardware, more manufacturers of software, outside of just the big crew. So those different perspectives kind of add up to some very unique expressions. And so I love one of my cult favorites here has been Inventec.
Yeah,
I really like what they do. They've had such a it's kind of like it's been quirky at times, but very effective.
Yeah,
and to see their new plate sorter, I mean, actually, truth be told, that's a problem I've actually worked on.
Yeah,
and I gave them some ideas about how to kind of improve that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's one of the amazing things about being here.
Mm-hmm. So. You can have those face-to-face conversations.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the details, because there's a lot of equipment here.
Yeah.
There's a ton of hardware.
Sure.
There's a lot of software too.
Yeah.
So how do you guys kind of think about all those different avenues? Do you put people, say, hey, you're in charge of figuring out this next thing with the hardware, the saw, and somebody else with some of the material supplies? Is that how you do it?
Our organizations, I think we spend a disproportionate amount of time on trying new things.
Okay.
So, we do generally have folks who are kind of more interested in one domain or another, but I think we try to broadly empower people to explore something that seems interesting. So I've got an employee who the big parts of his job description is to focus on how we can change and be better.
Yeah.
And that activity has led him around the show. I mean, it's led to a lot of incredible things that I actually get to show off and, be proud of every day. Absolutely. Especially in the, with walls and components.
Yeah.
And, and now it's been very exciting because I have a software background. And so I get to do that on the software side.
Yeah.
Go and try new things. I mean, you've got Dusty Robotics over here with, the kind of automatic layout. And, it's like we try to go out of our comfort zone quite a bit.
That's great.
Because I think it's easy to get stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get so locked in, and you're focused on other problems, not just the ones of like tomorrow. Like, today is all consuming.
Yeah.
So, if you don't go out of your way to spend time on trying new stuff, then I think you're going to find pretty quick that you're left behind.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. That's a great attitude to have.
Yeah.
Is there any specific problems that you guys are focused on solving right now?
I think one of the big things that we're trying to solve is like, how do I solve more problems for my customer, but more importantly, how do I communicate that I'm solving them?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of builders, the way that they're structured, you're not really talking to some of the folks involved in like the high end of that company, right? It's generally fairly transactional as a component manufacturer. So, trying to raise a new idea, like, hey, maybe I'll try and sell you layout services, or maybe my wall panels can do more for you. Like, why don't you listen to this pitch? And they're just not interested because they just want a price.
Absolutely. And then trying to balance the communication that you do have, making it a positive experience, even if you aren't going to end up supplying the trusses with them.
Yeah. And I think builders are waking up to the fact that we can do more for them.
Yeah.
And I think with the advent of BIM has really driven that point home in a way that they can see it's kind of close to their hearts. So we do a lot of multifamily. We're about 70% right now.
Yeah.
And you started to get this class of builders that's like really woken up to the idea that solving problems earlier in the design phase, like combining more information, in 3D and just the layout, that's unbelievably valuable, especially if you've been on a project where you ran into these issues time and time again. Like we have the technology, right?
So, and you guys do walls, floors, and
roofs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've actually also begun turnkey framing. But the reason why we started turnkey framing was so that we could be more in control of that conversation.
Okay.
Right. So trying to get framers on board with wall panels is kind of it's not a very effective conversation. Bringing framers on with the idea that they're going to work with wall panels suddenly changes that conversation to the point where like they start asking us like, what more can I do? Like, wait, hold on, you guys got a model of that? Like, hold on, let me take a look at that. Like, send me an email. Like, it's been amazing to watch that sort of like switch in their minds the minute that we're actually asking them to bid with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's interesting. I know over the next year, there's a lot of talk about different innovations. What are some of the ones that you're most excited about?
I think one of the things I'm really excited for is I feel like the next generation of truss design software, and then also kind of everything that kind of stems off of that. Yeah. I'm so excited, especially, you guys are a prime example, right? Of like, finally we're having real competitive options that give us a very different perspective, a different feature set, a different, way that the infrastructure is laid out. I mean, that's been very exciting. And I think that folks like Paragon are much more interested in that conversation of like, hey, you're just like I'm trying to say, like, what more can you do for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like that's huge. I can't wait.
Yeah, and it would be good to have you be able to pass those benefits on to your customers, whether it's connectivity, collaboration, or whatever it is.
Sure.
I know you mentioned BIM. That's kind of like a big talk around how do you interface, who starts the model, how do you kind of bring it in and make sure that it's recognizing one source of truth. Have you guys gone into that world and tried to manage that?
I do have a Revit subscription. I do. I wouldn't say I get the most out of it right now, but I will tell you, I've had a lot of good conversations with folks who generally don't step foot in truss plants. So I've done plant tours for structural engineers and architects this year.
Wow!
And being able to see their view of their BIM models, and have them understand that, like, when they start building that, they can have the framing in that model, right? The way we spec it. And then they can also review that.
Some errors. Find problems.
Oh man. Like, so we just finished like the biggest panel job in Georgia's history, supposedly. And having the architect actually be involved in reviewing the shop drawings for the panels was transformational.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that they could have it, they could draw it into their world, their software, see the collisions, try to find obstructions, was game changing.
Yeah, that's really neat. I love hearing about that because it's trying to think ahead a little bit further. Being able to model it out before a single piece of wood is cut is extremely valuable.
And have that conversation go all the way up the chain and back down. Like plumber's got an issue, framer's got to move it, architect needs to know because the MEP or the HVAC platform is suddenly it can't go where you thought it could. Right.
Absolutely.
And so having like that consistent communication and not have to basically email a bunch of PDFs and red lines and circles, is, oh man.
And doubling back on that word. That's all part of it. So we've talked a little bit about integrations. Is there any more things from a shop specific focus that you would be excited to see integrated or, work better together?
That is a great question. I think the shop is obviously where my head's at quite a bit. I think any shop manager worth their salt is going to be asking the question of what can I do with the data that's coming out of my tracking points? And, I can tell you that the older software platforms, tend to struggle with that, having good, clean data, having data that's usable, being able to extend that data. I mean, I'm in my SQL database pretty frequently trying to figure out how to get more out of the tables that I have. And so, watching folks come along who understand that need for data, that hunger for data, and realizing that not only do you need to keep track of it and make it available, but you also need to build on it from other sources. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could talk all day.
Yeah.
We'll have to cut it a little short. The show is wrapping up. They're literally breaking down booths around us.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for talking with me. Wheeler, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.